Welcome to another episode of The Global Game Pod, where we focus on one thing and one thing only, and that's football.
What a goal from Ronaldo! It is absolutely magnificent! It is David Beckham!
With Coach Rudy and friends, this is Global Game Pod.
Yo, what's happening, people? Welcome to another episode of the Global Game Pod, and this episode is brought to you by CKB Interiors, who are our official sponsors at R77. So make sure you give them a follow and visit their website if you need a kitchen or a bedroom. If you don't, then just visit the website anyway. Today's guest is a special guest. He is the chairman, the co-founder, the founder, we'll find that out all in a minute, of the London Youth Premier League. I'm going to let him introduce himself and let him tell you exactly what he is before I botch it up and tell you lies, which I don't want to do. So this is Mr. Eugene Dwaah. He is here. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you very much. Thank you for inviting me.
No problem at all. So just in a few sentences, introduce yourself, what you do currently, and then we'll go into your past in a little bit.
Okay, no problems. So my name is Eugene Dwaah, and I'm the co-founder of the London Youth Premier League, which is changing or has slightly changed to a London Youth Premier Showcase, and I'll explain the reason for the subtle change, where I am now, in my company now, managing the new direction of the league.
Brilliant. And this league, it's different to most Saturday, Sunday leagues, correct?
Yes. We're going away from using the word league, and there's a reason for that. One reason for going away from using the word league is, unfortunately, in grassroots football in particular, the use of the word league and youth and grassroots football is seen in a slightly negative aspect. What we tend to kind of imagine is dads on the sidelines arguing with match officials and all sorts of news you'll hear about referees being attacked and so forth, poor pitches, poor facilities and so forth. So generally speaking, when we have images about grassroots, it seems to mean that grassroots seems to mean less than, not the same as, not the equivalent as what you call the better standard, the academy or obviously Premier League and so forth. And I'm a believer that that's not right and that's not fair. So while we're moving away from league and calling to a showcase, is because for me it's an opportunity for kids to just show their abilities, show what they've learned in training for the week, showcase their talent. And so it's more of a showcasing your talent, which takes you away from that winning at all costs mentality that some leagues have.
Brilliant. You know what? That's actually spot on. And it was one of the reasons why I gave you a call about this time last year, because I wanted to go away from grassroots, as you call it, and this whole concept of it's always just fun and there's no winners and there's no losers and the rest of it. Whereas with your league now, we've been in there for the season. It's so much different, not just in terms of the players on the pitch, but literally around the whole vicinity of it. So in terms of managers being dressed smartly, players showing up to games dressed smartly, even the way the code of conduct works, meetings, disciplinaries, all of it is done in pretty much almost a Premier League championship kind of environment. And that's what makes this league so special. So for the viewers who don't know, who are not privy to this information, tell us how it actually originally came about and why it came about.
Okay, so my initial background is I'm very fortunate. I worked in some of the fields that have given me the necessary skills to pretty much manage something like this. So I was head of community development for a massive housing association in London, and my job was to help people in social housing get employment opportunities for young people and so forth. And that gave me my first insight into how organisations work with people so-called underprivileged within our communities. And it seemed to me just that experience that just because they lived in social housing, there was a set expectation of the kind of services that they could do, how far they can reach in terms of their academia and also the job opportunities. And I didn't like that. I then moved into teaching, and then I started to specialize in behavior. And we're not talking about SEN as special education needs, but what made kids who are quite academic not fulfill their potential. Why was there glass ceiling for some young people in terms of their education? Once again, I worked in some of the toughest inner city schools. I worked in some of the most affluent schools as well. I saw there's a clear difference because of expectations generally and the support. Then I worked in football, played football at a decent level as a youngster, went on to become head of recruitment at Fulham. And even at Fulham, even at the elite level, I saw thousands and thousands of kids being excluded from playing because of money and not being able to travel to the academies, or kids who are not understanding the work ethic that was needed because they had no role models or mentors, or kids who simply just couldn't even get there because they just didn't have the financial support to get there. And I felt that was woefully unfair, and I didn't like the fact that kids had talent but couldn't express that because of the way the structure of the academies were. The kids had to be able to travel to these academies and play. Then I spent a considerable amount of time in Italy and Spain, got some really good football friends there, and it just opened my eyes that they just did everything so differently. Everything was about the kids. When I say in terms of detail, so that every event was a celebration of young people. So everything was focused on their enjoyment and their experience. It wasn't about the adults who were running the teams or the match officials. It was really and truly about the kids. As I was a youngster, I used to watch TV, I used to see my heroes, I used to go to the park and try to emulate them. Yeah. So I knew, and I put myself back to being a 12, 13-year-old. I thought, hang on, what would I want every single Sunday or Saturday? What would I want to see? And what they do, they watch Match of the Day, they watch Sky Sports, and they look at that and they go, wow. And I thought, why can't we give them that experience, give them a little bit of that taste of that experience, regardless of their economic background, regardless of their status of grassroots? Why can't we give them the best that we possibly could? So I wanted to create something that was very child-centered and try to, but the biggest difficulty in this country is convincing parents and coaches that you're truly child-centered. Everyone says that they do it for the kids.
Yeah.
But in reality, their behavior suggests otherwise. So I wanted to create something that really was for the kids. So I used my own children as experiments and asked them the sorts of things they wanted to use. So I used them as guinea pigs, used their friends as guinea pigs in terms of finding out the sorts of things they wanted. And then I used my own experience where I played for representative from Middlesex and Barnet and English schoolboys. I wanted to blaze the system and what that signifies. I worked in inner city schools where we don't have uniform, and it doesn't prepare the kids for the real world. And all those things we brought in, the etiquette, the dress sense. Then I went and looked for the best facilities that we could find. And unfortunately, we don't have many really good grass pitches anymore in this country. So we're all having to move to 3G, 4G services. So I decided to try and identify good 3G, 4G services. And a lot of them with some hospitality, maybe a cafe or something like that for the mums who are traveling far. We've got siblings. So I try to make the experience very comfortable for everybody involved. Young people to enjoy playing, parents to enjoy going to watch, and coaches enjoy the experience of being able to coach without parental pressure. And so we created that. Now, we're not perfect in any stretch of the imagination. We've got a long way to go. But what I've noticed over the last 5 years, every year we've got better. And we're attracting more teams coming over because we're different. We're not better than anybody else. We're just different. And what we certainly do is put the children first.
Yeah, and I've noticed that being there this year, that, you know what, you guys do some, like, not just in terms of the football, not just in terms of on the pitch, off the pitch, the way we can come in, we can, even before we've traveled, we already know what changing rooms we're going to be using. You know, little things like that make a massive difference to someone like myself who's coaching the team and managing the team. Because when I get there, I'm not dilly-dallying, or I'm not trying to get the kids in one location and then moving from here. I know where we're going. I can put the message out instantly onto the groups. We're in this changing room, meet here, meet up time is this. And because of your professionality, we can be professional in the way we conduct ourselves. So I think it's one of the first times, and you're privy to the information. I've been around 11 odd years. So I've had plenty of experience in different leagues, and not one league is club orientated or club centered. it's always about the league. Pay us on time, do this, do this, do this. Whereas with you guys, it's more, that's exactly, when it comes to fines, bloody hell, like, it's like the world's about to end if we don't pay a fine. But with you guys, it's a lot more like, you're more understanding. We can, you know, we can say, look, we're having a little bit of financial difficulty here. We're not going to pay, but it's going to take us a little bit more time, and you'll be quite flexible with that, and you'll work with us. Whereas a lot of leagues that we play with don't actually work with the teams, and what happens is a knock-on effect that teams end up folding because of those financial pressures. Based on a majority of the time, those mistakes are not even based on the coaches or the players. It's probably a parent or someone external representing the club who's not actually a member of the club per se, and they end up getting these fines for the club. Whereas with you guys, I think if we explain, if there was a situation ever where someone external was causing something and we came over to you and said, look, nothing to do with the club, I think you guys were quite understanding about that. And yeah, for the people, the teams that don't know, listen, it's not a new fish, but there's a new big fish in town, and they need to start taking notice, because what you guys are doing is, not only are you creating a platform for these kids, like you say, and it's all kid centered and young people centered, but you've also got projects that go far and beyond football, and that go beyond just the game, because a lot of these kids at 15, 16 years old, when it's time to make tough decisions, and all they've ever wanted to do was be involved in football in one way or another, you kind of give them that platform as well. So if you could tell us a little bit about those projects that you're doing as well, and not just the league side of it.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I mean, I believe in family. So I've got a fantastic family. I'm very fortunate in terms of my life experience. And so I love the concept, particularly in the continent, of the way in which they support young people in particular, and the family get involved. So we went to Spain. It was common to see grandma, granddad, mum and dad all cheering on the little one. Italy is exactly the same. Here, I'm not saying that parents don't follow, because they do follow. Obviously, maybe our winter's a little bit colder and so forth. But why do I find a lot of kids now coming from one-parent families? No one bothers to go and watch them play, or knows or is aware that they're even playing half the time. They don't pay subs because the manager normally does it for them. So, you know, they just come and kick ball. And so I've seen kids at every single range. I think for me, it was really important where I was going through my journey. My first crop of boys are now 30 years of age, and I produced a lot of professional footballers. So at the top end, I produced a lot of boys who play in the Premier League, playing other leagues across Europe, and that's fantastic. But I've also produced firemen and people working in the NHS now. You know, when we talk about, I don't celebrate that, but I personally do. But people don't think about that. But I've also had kids who've gone the complete wrong other side. Yeah. And I've seen them at 30 walking the road, do absolutely nothing positive. And I realised that football is massively powerful. We all know this. But the issue is, how do you best use it? Now, one thing I realise is that if you give kids something that's good, they will attend, they will participate. Okay, that's the engagement part. But whilst they're with you, you can actually do some really positive things with them if you want to, if you can think outside the box. So we've run like level 1 coaching qualifications. We've run after schools literacy and numeracy lessons for the boys. We've run conferences with some great partners like Hilton, where we've talked about how you get talent ID, the pitfalls of professional football clubs and when you get released, looking at scholarships in the US, to how to look after their body and nutrition. So we do lots of things around football and around sports that we know they're interested in. And those who want to engage can engage. They're not forced to do so. But what we don't want is, we don't want a league where kids join us at 9, finish at 16, 17, 18, and then they're doing nothing but negative activities. Yeah. Through what we want to do is get them to actually access opportunities whilst they're playing football. So that if they want to stay in the game, they can either go to a sports college, they could come and be a physiotherapist, or they can go into coaching. There's 5 or 6 players, ex-players, of mine who are now coaches for rival teams from my academy in the league, and I'm so proud of them. They want to beat me, and so I'm not involved in terms of coaching. But then my ex-players who said I inspired them to a point that they've come back and they're coaching other kids. So it's like a big family, and a lot of the teams that join our league have had some poor experiences at grassroots level. We've got a very multicultural league, so we've got teams who are predominantly Turkish, teams who are predominantly Romanian, teams who are predominantly Bulgarian in our league. And what we've been able to do is fuse that natural London multiculturalism into something positive, a league that really does respect them, respects culture. I love the idea of having the London melting pot all playing together and enjoying that experience together as youngsters, because that's what actually obviously is going to change the future. Yeah. So for me, it's more than football, but I have to lead by example. So I have to put the energy in, I have to keep the standards. Don't get me wrong, it's difficult because I'm trying to convince people who've had years and years of British grassroots football mentality. And I'm trying to say to them, no, let's be family. And there's a lot of people who don't trust it. Is he really what he says he is? Is his league really what it is? And they want the perfect model. We're not perfect. No. But what I try to do, I listen every year. We try to improve every year. We try to see what things the kids want, what things the managers want, which are realistic, and we try to put that into place. But I mean, this year is our first year where we got our senior clubs are going to be now part of the management team. Yeah. So it's not just about me. Now I'm saying, look, I can only take us so far. We've got some people with fantastic experience across the league. And now we're saying, let's just pull our resources together. Let's pull our ideas together and let's look after these kids. We've got over 1,000 kids in the league. And I think we can do some fantastic work with these kids. But it takes a family. It takes a village to bring a kid up. Yeah, it's exactly the same mentality. Yeah, so as people get to know me, they kind of think, you know, maybe this guy's the real deal. You know, maybe he does really care. Yeah, we fall out there and there, but he does really care. And my heart's always in the right place. I'm not perfect. We do get things wrong. But generally speaking, I'm all about the kids. As long as the kids are getting what they must get out of this, which is, you know, good grounding, development of personal skills, obviously trying to improve their football ability. We don't promise pro football, but improve their football ability, keep fit and healthy, then I'm happy.
But I think what people need to understand is that those kids that do want to progress into the professional game, and into that environment, I always so when I first spoke to you a year or so ago and trying to get R77 into the league, we had a conversation over the phone, and straight up, literally, I put the phone down, and within half an hour, I was like, yep, sign me up, here's the deposit, we're in. There was no messing around, because it's not a case to say where you sold it, but you did sell it. It was the whole mantra around what you were saying was you hit every single spot for me as a coach. And it was like, I had a group of under 14s last year. So this is the 2018-2019 season, and they completely dominated the grassroots game. You know, they won everything they could win, and they played it. They did it playing the correct way. And the challenge just wasn't there anymore. And for me to put them in the same league at under 15s, where only the same teams were coming up, would have made no sense at all, because all we would have done was dominate it. So we looked around, we looked at leagues, we looked at different ideas. Obviously, we looked at JPL, we looked at the Echo, we looked at the Eastern Junior Alliance, and then we looked at you guys. And I said it then, and I say it now, and I'll continue to probably say it in a few years' time, but this is the most competitive league you could play in. We started off shaky at the beginning of the season. You know, summer holiday, because you guys start bang on when summer holidays end, and for a lot of the kids, the summer holidays hasn't ended yet. We haven't had them in for the last 3-4 weeks of pre-season, and now we've got to go and play this in this league, and it was a big, massive culture shock. As much as I was looking forward to it, I knew I was coming into a proper league after that first game. Then we lost 6-1 in that first game, and as soon as we went back, it was straight back to the drawing board. I was like, here we go. We ain't here. This ain't no joke now. We've got serious. We've got to buck up our ideas. And we had a bit of an up and downer where we would win games, we would lose games. And then obviously you've got the likes of Crystal Palace in your league. Now that game itself gets penciled in. What people don't actually realize, and this is all fairness to Crystal Palace, I'm not taking anything away. They are Palace at the end of the day. But I knew, but what the kids didn't understand is teams like Creative and Soccerlution were the actual danger men. And that's just a fact. And I give all props to when we play Creative. I actually applauded them off the pitch, every single player. I applauded. Absolutely brilliant football side. And sometimes you just got to enjoy the competition. And that's what people don't understand. As much as winning and losing isn't important, it's not. And I completely respect that from the grassroots perspective. But what people don't get is I have a bigger sense of appreciation of losing when I'm playing against the likes of creative than I would do in a scrappy long ball game on grass on a Sunday where I've just really just wasted 80 minutes of football where my team's tried to play and the opposition has decided to kick lumps out of us and use physicality as a means of winning. That's not football. Here, what I find is every single team kind of has the same mantra and the same idea. And then the difference is the actual talent on the football pitch. That might be for many reasons. Boys might have come out of an academy and they played at some team. Boys might have been together for a long time. Like my team itself, we've only been together this season. That is a brand new team. That's not even the same team.
Yeah.
Because like I said, for that first game, we gave him a chance and I was like, no, this ain't going to work. This is not going to work. So I think in that sense, what people need to understand is not only I think you're being quite humble when you're saying that you're just different. And I think you are the best youth league in the country, not just London, in the country. And people need to understand that this league could become bigger, better than anything else out there. And you could definitely attract a lot more Cat 1, Cat 2, Cat 3 academy sides to play in the league against us so-called grassroots teams where we can actually really show off our talents. Because when we played Palace the first time round, not the second time round, we won't talk about the second time, but when we played Palace the first time round, listen, and that was a game where Andy Cole came to watch. Now, let me just say that again for the viewers. That was a game where Andy Cole, treble winner, Manchester United, you can see that Mama United guy did. He came to watch us play against Palace, and the words he used were, and I was standing, and he was talking to, what's his name? Otis at the time. And he was standing behind me. At this point, I don't even know Andy Cole standing behind me. This is a proper funny story. Because I'm there and I'm being my usual self. And you know what my usual self is like. I wear my heart on my sleeve. And I'm going at it. And he's turning around and he's gone to Otis. I know the boys that are wearing the top are Palace. But if you swap the shirts around, would you be able to tell? And that kind of caught my attention. So I turned around to kind of like, say thanks for that, because I was thinking it's a compliment, and I'm completely starstruck because I'm looking at Andy Cole, and I'm just like, at half time when the boys came in, my team talk was so simple. Andy Cole's watching this game, go out and play. No other league where you would see that. Do you understand? So
I know. It's surreal, isn't it? It is. I came in and Andy was sitting in the cafe, drinking a cup of tea, watching games. I mean, obviously, because we are surrounded by ex-players, through my links with the Jason Roberts Foundation, Otis, and Jason himself, we're very fortunate. We've got a lot of friends in the game who actually do really want to give some back. But what I like about them, they just keep it real. They just come and pop in and have a cup of tea and watch a game. Do you know what I mean? And it's not like it's some big announcement and they're just wearing their normal clothes and they're just mingling with the parents, and you never know that this guy has won the treble, the Champions League, and so forth. And it's fantastic. They just do their support nice and quietly. They come down to sessions and they coach the boys, but they do it really quietly that you never actually know that actually going on. I'm humbled by that. I totally agree with you. I mean, let me just clarify some stuff for people listening. The Crystal Palace team that's in our league isn't Crystal Palace Academy. Okay.
Yeah.
It is not Crystal Palace Academy. What it is we work very closely with Crystal Palace's recruitment and the head of recruitment, who's one of the most innovative heads of recruitment I've ever worked with, who works with his recruitment team across London, picking some of the best boys who have not been snapped up yet, and place them in these development games so an opportunity for them to showcase their talent, to see whether they're ready for that next level. So they are very, very good, these boys. I mean, they've been picked from some of the best teams and the best clubs in London. But having said that, they're still being coached by Crystal Palace staff. The head of recruitment, I don't think, ever misses a game, which is amazing for head of recruitment of the Premier League Academy, which is, so, we're really, really grateful for their support. I think I totally agree with you. I think when I hear teams come into our league, they turn around and tell me, we won the Echo League, we won the Watford League, we won the Harrow Youth League. It's not for me to say how good the standard of the league is. But I always look and I think, okay, but you need to, this league is not one of the leagues where you only have one competitive game a season. Yeah. Literally every game is competitive. And the way in which we've done it this year is even better, where we made the first phase of games like a cup final. You only play each other once. Then it got split into two divisions from there for like our equivalent of Champions League and Europa. And then you play each other again in more intense games. And then the top 4 play the Super Cup. So it's competition after competition after competition. So it's constant pressure. So what we've noticed, like, go on,
yeah, I think that was that concept was brilliant, because when it came to the crux of it, because I said to the boys in July, last July, I said to the boys that this team will not be ready until December, January time. It just will not be ready. And they just didn't understand what I was saying. And then came to back in January, when the divisions were about to split, and we were sitting at the time in 12th position. So we were in the Europa League, in a sense. And we had 3 games to go. And at this point, I had taken a Billericay job. So I was with Billericay. So I had to bring in a new management team, and, you know, they're trying to work out everything. And the message is don't ruin what we've started. Don't start again. You have to pick it up from where I've kind of left off. But naturally, in managers, they want to stamp their own authority to it.
That's right.
So I was like, look, listen, for 3 games, just give me 3 games. For 3 games, do it my way. And after these 3 games, do whatever you please. But for just these 3 games, let's try and get into that Champions League bracket. And now all of a sudden, it's almost like the top 4 in the Premier League, where we've got 3 games, we've got X amount of points, things have to go our way, things have to be done a certain way, but we've got a chance. And we got in on goal difference. And we celebrated it. We celebrated it like we just won a trophy, because for me, that was the top 9 best teams, like I said, in the country. I think if you put any of those 9 teams against any team around it's an open challenge to the whole nation. If you have a team age under 15, under 16, and you wish for a pre-season game against any of those top 9 teams that I just mentioned, believe you me, you're in for a game, because we'll take it. We'll take one on as well. And that's the reality. For us, we may not win a trophy at the end of the season. We may not have silver. We may have nothing to show for it. But believe you me, I will reward the boys on our awards evening. I'll reward those groups just for finishing in that top half of the league. Because
you just said it. Look at your face. You've just said it. Look at the excitement, the passion, and also the unbelievable sense of achievement at coming 9th, right? And so by creating a structure which actually forces kids to push themselves throughout the season, regardless of their position. I don't know any other grassroots league that does it. Can you imagine any other grassroots league that you're in a 9th place team, but you're still interested in the rest of the season? You're not. And so what we wanted to do was create that, the top, you always can have 1 or 2 teams who are actually riding high at the beginning of the season. But even in my own experience, I know the teams change. When I first started coaching, I had a team, they started that first season in the summer. I got them, I just finished playing men's football, picked up an under-8s team, and decided to coach. Enjoyed it. But our first ever game, we played a team called Ruislip Rangers, and we lost 7-0. And my head was down. I came out for, I don't know what the hell I'm doing. And I worked. We got ourselves, in the second half of the season after Christmas, we got ourselves to the League Cup final. Guess who we're playing? The same Ruislip team who were beaten us 7-0 at home and 7-1 away. Right? So everyone, we were going to lose that game. We played at Hendon's Hendon Football Club's old stadium. These kids were 9 years of age at that time, right? And they won the League Cup 7-0. They changed that in 6-7 months. So that's what gave me the idea. Hang on, kids change. They change a lot in that 6 months. But if their heads will go down, if they're finishing 9th, 10th, or bottom of the league, and they've got nothing to play for. So in order for kids to develop, they need smaller chunks. So that's why we decided to break the league up into different sections, so kids had opportunities to win things throughout the season, not just at the beginning of the season. And it seems to have caught fire. It seems to have worked.
Yeah, definitely. For us, it was definitely like a massive thing. So currently, the league is actually based in like mostly West London, and you do have a lot of teams coming from East, especially like myself, obviously.
That's right.
And I'm one of the blessed members, I should say now, that has been allowed to join the management team of the London Youth Premier League. You don't understand. That's when you sent me that message. I had to look at about 3-4 times. Like, you seriously telling me to join the management team? Me, like.
Let me tell you something. I've done this throughout my whole footballing career. When I took over Fulham, and I said recruitment, I ran 12 development centres across London. I think we call them talent centres. I think we were one of the first clubs to get them coming all around London. I was fighting against Chelsea, who are next door neighbours. I had to be very innovative about how I'll get kids in. And I noticed that all other heads of recruitment that I'm aware of, generally speaking, they won't employ people that they feel a threat to them in any way, could potentially take their job. And that's probably in most industries. People get to the top, they're not really surround themselves with the best of the best. And I'm not like that. I've got no fear. I think you surround yourself. You look at people, you look at their worth, you look at what they're doing in their own individual way, and you say to yourself, are they going to add value to what I'm doing? Am I going to add value to what they're doing? So what I've decided to do is just bring the best of the best together. Do you know what I mean? So bring the best, no fears, bring the best of the best together. And you guys are all running your own fantastic private academies, doing really well. And I'm thinking they go, well, really very well. Get those geniuses, those people really innovative, into the same room and develop something really special. So that's why you come on board. Nah,
I completely appreciate it. You know, whatever I can bring of value to the league, more than happy to do so. Yeah, I'm all for it. I'm all guns blazing. I just need to bring the league over to East London. That's the only thing that's missing.
So I think that's the point you're making. So obviously, I live in North West London, so the league has primarily been set up to work near the Wembley Stadium area. That conceptually, that was the idea. Dare to dream. You know, looking up underneath the arches. That was really important to us initially. But obviously, it's outgrown that. And we call it the London Youth Premier Showcase, so it shouldn't really be London-wide. So this year, we're looking to move it and have a base with partnership with yourselves in East London, and we're looking also in partnership with another really well-respected club in the league in South London. So we'll have a South London, East London, and obviously North West London and West London hubs. And for us, the idea is not to grow the league to be big. You know, we're not interested in being like the other leagues with 250 teams and so forth. Because unfortunately, you lose your soul, you lose the quality, you lose the reason why you're doing it. We want to keep it quality, not quantity. So we're very selective in terms of who we invite in. Yeah. They need to have the same ethos as us, the same kind of family values as us. And then the same with the venues. We're looking for venues that add value to what we're already doing. So we're on the hunt. I know you're active in East London. Yeah. I'm now active in another part in South London. And over the next few months, we'll be looking to shape that new provision for September.
Now that's absolutely brilliant. And is there any plans in the future to take like a London Youth Premier Showcase team of 15? Because I know it's just an idea that's in the head that if you brought in the best of the best, you know,
it'll be frightening. It'll be frightening.
Not only
I've seen some. Yeah, it'd be frightening. I know you may be frightening. I mean, you know, I've been head of recruitment. I know the standards, and it'll be frightening. It'll be frightening. First of all, let's be honest. We're like every other league. Go get rid of the egos, because you know I've gone into other league, and the representative side aren't the best players. They're the players that the managers decide to send, or depending who the manager is in the league, whether you know it's predominantly from a particular team. But if you actually do it properly, like we've done with our league, and you pick the best players for each position, the best squad in each age group, it would actually be frightening. Some of the stands I've seen is really, really good. And that's just, and I'm not just saying that, but we've got two teams in the league who've reached quarterfinals, semi-finals, finals, and won the London Cup. You know what I mean? From our league this year.
Yeah.
I mean, we know they're the best of the best. We're talking about 4 or 5 teams who contested the quarterfinals, semi-finals, and finals. Yeah. So we know we're strong. So it's something that I definitely want to do. But now we've got the new management team. I don't think there's going to be any egos. So I think everyone sitting there wants the best for the kids. So I think we would love them to show. Well, it's good promotion for the leagues, good promotion for them themselves. So it's something I really want to progress.
Yeah, definitely, because it would also add competition with the coaches as well. Because someone's going to manage it. Someone's going to manage it. You know? And I think it just look. People need to understand that competition is actually healthy. You know, if without competition, I don't think I'll be able to do what I do. Like, so we have a ruling at our club at the moment where across the board, so from under 7s all the way up to under 16s, the boys have to bring their kits back on a Saturday training session. They have to bring them back. The shirts are there. So it would be brilliant if I had my own facility where I could actually hang the shirts up. That's the actual mind behind it, that your shirts would be hanging. and you're actually training for your shirt. So we're only going to pick 8 players, but there's 16 of you training. And every week that can change based on your attitude, based on what you're doing, based on how you're training. Even small things, that's what we'll tell parents, if they're on like having bad behavior at school or whatever, and they've got reports and stuff, we need to know this, because that will go against them when it comes to selection. So it's not just football. So we're trying to like make that our complete ethos. I mean, we've been like that since the day we started, but now we're trying to like explain to kids why we do it, because we want you to have an element of competition within even training. Because when I went to like a place like Billericay, and obviously that's men's football step 2, I was blown away by the intensity of the training session. I was like, what the hell is going on here? Like they want to kill each other, but in the most respectful way ever. It's like,
right.
But when you explain it to them, well, the concept is that, look, we want to be on that pitch because this is our stage and it's our time to try and shine so we can go to the next level. And I completely understood it from that perspective. Sometimes it's financial reason that they need to be on the pitch to get paid. So everyone's got their own agenda. And I think what lacks in kids football is, or in grassroots football is, teams will have, like, for example, under 7s, they'd only have 7 players. Now, if they've only got 7 players, you can never drop anyone. Every day,
that's right.
These kids know they're going to play every week.
But you see, now you're going into a little bit controversial ground, which is good for debate, which is about, you know, the whole primary school and secondary school attitude about non-competition, and that everyone should participate. Participation is paramount, and you know, it's not necessarily about winners and losers and so forth, right? And you've got some people with Frala, that's something. Yeah, no, absolutely, it's fantastic. Wherever I would just say to everybody, I'll tell you, you sound like a young version of myself. I'll totally agree with this. Life is a competition, right? And it's our jobs as parents, mentors, coaches, is to prepare young people for the real world.
Yeah.
And the real world is competitive. Whether you're going for a job interview, whether the job you're doing, you go for a promotion, whether you're trying to get into the best university, it is competitive. Yes, and we're naturally competitive. When you see 2 kids together, right, and you watch them, even if you go to where I'm from, Africa, and you watch them, they've got little resources. You watch them trying to see who's the fastest, who can jump the furthest, who can push something the quickest. We are competitive. The problem is when the adults get involved in kids football. That's the issue. It's not the kids themselves. It's when the adults get involved and start bringing in bad ethos, bad habits into that natural competitiveness. So I think it's very healthy to be competitive as long as it's honed in the right way. Yeah. The problem we have here is we have competition that stops growth and stops development. You know, how many times have I seen on pitch, come on, kick him, don't let him do that, take him out. So what is he doing? You know, and it still goes on. So the reason why you say under 7s, they only have 7 players, is that whole attitude of, well, competition is bad. No, competition is very good. It's the adults that make it bad. It's the people that's running it and coaching it that bring other elements into it that actually turns it to be bad. Yeah. You know, so I agree with you.
Yeah, you completely hit the nail on the head. And that is exactly the case. Sometimes it is hard, don't get twisted. It's very hard to find a balance of what is the line and what isn't the line. But I think you've got it. See, young coaches, because I always promote young coaches. I like to bring my coaches in at 16 years old, get them on the level 1 and get them started on their journey. If that means they're going to still be playing non-league football, whatnot, fair enough. But sometimes, or more than likely, by the time they get to university, they want to pack playing in. They just want to play 5s and 7s with their boys. So as long as they're still coaching, I think for me, that's very, very important. And when they're learning, they're going to make mistakes. And I think it's very important for like people like myself, who's almost now become a mentor, not by choice, but just because I have to be. It's very important for someone like myself to have that patience and give them their time to learn, because I also was a young, naive 16-year-old once upon a time. I also did try to win at all costs. Not going to lie about it, you know.
We've all done it.
Exactly. And I think it's the learning.
We've all done it.
sometimes it's like when they say to a kid, in it, like you're not allowed that sweet. The kid wants that sweet more. I think sometimes they have to let their teeth fall out in order to realize, well, actually sweets are actually bad for you, and they'll give it up within their own time. So everything takes time. The way we say that kids develop slowly, I think even adults develop at a slow rate as well.
110%, 110%. And there are cultural differences in our country, though, let's be quite frank. In the countries I've visited with regards to football, they celebrate skill, whether it's defensive or attacking, much more readily than us. Yeah. What we tend to do is go, there's no end product, right? There's no end product. And that's at the junior age group, right, which stifles a lot of that natural development of those skill sets. So I'm totally agree with you. As a coach myself, I went through a lot as a youngster. I brought my men's mentality to junior football with 8 and 9-year-olds shouting at them, get really aggressive on the sideline because I didn't know no better.
Yeah.
And one of my FA courses, and my FA courses just taught me really about to conduct training sessions and so forth. And I didn't really have anyone older than me to sit there and go, you need to calm down a bit. Well, try this and so forth. Until my team started to become successful. And then I had some fantastic mentors who were very lucky to come into my world. Then I found out I was good at what I did. And then the rest is history. But we all had to start from somewhere. You need a mentor. You need people to say to you, try this or try that and experiment. But they're going to make mistakes. But I think 16 is fantastic. I think it's the best age to start in the little ones because you're already playing. You can see, where they're going wrong. It's really also good for your game. Coaching is very good for your game. You see things in the coaching that when you then go and play, you go, oh, actually, do you know what I mean? So I found that really useful when I was playing as well.
That massively helped me because when I took on the Billy Ricky job, I was very skeptical, by the way, to take that job on. I was like, I do not want to go in the men's world. I'm a youth football coach, and that's what I'm good. That's my bread and butter. And now you're chucking me in this environment where results do matter, where people do get sacked, where players get paid. Do I want to go there? I don't know if I want to go there. But when I went there, obviously, the first thing that was appealing to me was the fact of the intensity of the session. You have to think on the spot. You have to be on top of your game literally every minute of that hour and a half of training.
Absolutely.
It's not like kids football where you can allow the kids to harness a skill and do it for 30, 40 minutes and kind of leave them to it. Here, even 5 minutes is too long in a drill. The players are bored. Come on, Rude, let's get on with it. Do something.
Yeah, good play match.
And then also having Gifton there and having Jamie O'Hara there, now they've come right from the top of their game. And Jamie tolerates no nonsense. He is a professional, and he's as professional as they come. And I love that because it keeps me on my toes. It keeps me challenged. And when I go wrong, I know he's not gonna be like, you know what, Rudy, you've done it this time. Don't do it again. Nah. You're gonna hear it first. Then you'll hear that, all right, it's done now. Let's move on with it. Don't make that mistake.
That's it. I think you're absolutely right. I think what your audience needs to understand, and kids in particular listening to this, is those people, professional footballers, regardless of what you saw on TV or so forth, there's a reason why they became professional.
Exactly.
They weren't always the best players in their squads. But I have yet to meet a professional footballer, right, of any worth, where you watch him in training and he doesn't train like the way he plays. Do you know what I mean? Like it's the last game he's ever going to play.
Yeah.
And it's that level of coming every day and wanting to perfect and be the best you can. And that goes for most other professions where you get to the very, very top, whether it's the best teacher, whatever. You have a natural instinct to continuously work at whatever it is that you're doing. And you could see that in their behavior. And I've worked with some kids where, I'll be honest with you, I told them they're never, ever going to make it. I could see it. I could name some famous one. One boy who was at Crystal Palace, then signed for a serious amount of money for Everton, met me about a year ago and still calls me sir. And he says, sir. And I was with my friend, I went, God, do you know him? Do you know who he is? I went, yeah, I know him. Yeah, you told me I'll never make it. Yeah. But at 14, he was lazy. He couldn't even get on a bus to come training, right? But something kicked in at 15, 16, 17 years of age. Some maturity kicked in, and now he's gone on. He's a millionaire, and he's doing very, very well for himself. So I totally agree with you. It's being around people, watching them, picking up the best bits about them, adding it to your own coaching, your own game. totally agree with you.
Exactly that. And what people don't actually understand is where you started off as just a phone call to try and get my team into the league. You're now one of those mentors to me, and what we always got to talk about kids, because that is where our bread and butter lies. You know, you with the league, myself with the team. But even at my age, and I'm 31. You know what, I might as well. But even at my age, I still need mentors, and probably at your young age of, what is it, 25 now?
24 now, yeah, 24.
24.
I wish.
But we need. But the thing is, mentors are they don't necessarily have to be older than you. Role models don't necessarily have to be older than you.
100%.
I learned so much from my youngsters that I would not be able to learn of anyone older and wiser than me. And that's the reality. They teach us stuff sometimes as well. And I think it's a relationship that goes hand in hand. Where they need us and we actually need them as well.
Totally agree with you.
Eugene, just one message from yourself to the viewers or to the youngsters who might be watching, or to even to parents who might be watching. If you could give them one message during this time, especially of what they can be doing, what they can't be doing, go ahead, floor's yours.
Thank you. I suppose for me, what this has done is allowed everybody to just put a full stop and really to kind of breathe, take a breath. Because what we do is, particularly I only ever find this when I go back home to Ghana, but over here, our lives go 100 miles an hour. You know, it really does. I think everybody now will sit at home and go, actually, do you know, my life is actually quite hectic most of the time. We got 100 miles an hour. That means, you know, you miss friends, you miss phone calls, you miss family, things. You go, I'll do that tomorrow, and tomorrow never comes. Yeah, we just had a reality check. You know what I mean? I just think as human beings, we've had a reality check. So that's number one. Number two is, it's the most profound experience I've ever had in I'm 50. So it's 50, but it's my 50th year this year, believe it or not. So it's the most profound experience I've ever seen in my life. This virus does not discriminate. It doesn't care about your colour, doesn't care about your status, how much money you've got. And what is also amazing about this is that it also interlinks us.
Yeah.
Meaning you can't just think about yourself and go, well, I'm okay, Jack, because it could affect the next person, which can then go all the way around, and it could be your gran, your sister, and so forth. So we're all having to look after ourselves in order to look after each other. And I just think that's just out of all of this misery and out of all this despair and out of all this pain, I just think that's amazing. You know, as human beings now, we're now humans. Yeah. And we have to look after ourselves in order to look after each other. And I think that is the message that will come out of this. And I think we'll never be the same again. And I hope that people look at each other and appreciate life more, and understand it's so precious and it's so short. We need to enjoy every single moment. I try to do that anyway. So, you know, I want everyone to stay at home, protect the NHS. We keep saying it, and keep your family safe. And that's it. You know, let's stay at home. Let's protect the NHS. We are absolutely amazing. But I think all of us knew that anyway. Yeah. And I think that's another message. Who in society is actually worthy of our respect? Yes, really. And I think they're the ones that are showing it time and time again. So, you know, I just wish everyone much blessings. Stay at home, save the NHS, and keep yourself safe.
And if you're really that bored, then just give me a shout. I'll get you on a podcast.
Thank you. I really enjoyed this. Great idea. But this says it all. This is its first. I think it's an amazing idea. And I want, you know, particularly league managers, please come on board. Help him out. I think it's fantastic. It's been a great whatever time we spent together, and it's fantastic to talk to you. And I do, it just also fills me with a lot of hope, because young men like you who are in the game, doing it in the right way, but I've been the intelligent one. I bring you all together. I meet lots of great people, but there's never ever a forum to get them all together. And that's what we've created with this league.
No, that's absolutely brilliant. Now, keep up the work. We're here. We're there next season. Don't you worry about that. We'll build ourselves slowly so we can eventually start competing with the big boys. But you know what? Win, lose, draw. We just love being a part of it weekly. And now you've got me on the management team. You've got to deal with me a hell of a lot more. You'll be voted to kick me out very, 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 very soon. Guys, what I'm going to do for you is I'm going to put the London Youth Premier League socials over there somewhere, and our socials at R77 over there somewhere. Eugene, absolute pleasure having you on here. Before you go,
pleasure.
one quick question, one word answer: Ronaldo or Messi?
Messi.
Anyway, I think all you viewers, honestly, I think all you guys on this podcast are doing it because you see this behind me. Messi.
That's exactly right. I didn't even hesitate.
Absolute pleasure talking to you, Eugene.
Brilliant.
Stay safe,
Legend.
and we'll see you when the league resumes. And who knows, we might even talk before that.
No, definitely. My blessings to you and your family.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Eugene. And you, viewers, remember, like, share, subscribe. Peace. We'll see you in a couple of days for another episode.